Hi class, welcome again to another session on rehabilitation engineering. Now that we have completed our third unit, let us move on to the fourth, which is the management of communication in virtual reality. So, when I say management of communication, what do you mean by communication, right? So, communication is a process of exchange of information among individuals, right? Every individual has his or her own way of communicating. Now when I say individual, it does not necessarily mean humans. Animals and birds have their own way of talking with each other. So basically, if I want to pass on an information to another fellow human being, then the method that I'd use to pass this information is called communication. Now, it's not necessary that whatever communication is happening has to be verbal. You know, you can have written communication, you can use sign language, as long as whatever you're trying to say is understood by the person you're saying it to. It is called it is an effective communication. So it comprises of all behavior a human being uses to express his or her emotion. Now, it can be a jubilant smile in your face which says that you're happy with whatever is happening, or it can be an expression of anger. It can be a body language while you're stomping your feet to express your anger. It can be anything, right? The modality that we use to express out our feeling is referred to as expressive or encoding process, and the one that is used for understanding and interpretation of symbols are called as receptive or decoding process. So, for example, let us take this video for example. I am talking to you, trying to make you understand what is communication, right? So I am expressing my way of expressing my feelings, or my way of expressing my thought process is called as encoding, right? You, on the other hand, are hearing to what I'm saying, or you probably would have quit the video by now. I don't know. But if you're still continuing to hear what I'm trying to say, then you are decoding the process, or you're receiving the information, right? Linguistics is defined as the descriptive nature that deals with message transmission. So, linguistics in modern era, linguistics can be SMS, email, WhatsApp, anything, right? Speech is also one of the words of linguistics. When I say linguistics, the first thing that comes into mind is language, and then you end up concluding that speech is linguistics, but that's not true. Any mode of communication that you're using, that is linguistics, either email, SMS, or expression through emojis. All these are linguistics. So, communication impairments can be studied under the following categories. Speech and its disorder, communication from hearing impaired, communication for the hearing impaired, augmentative communication, communication for the visually impaired, other aids in communication. So, we shall discuss most of this in this unit. So, let us start with speech. So, speech is basically verbal expression of your whatever is there in your mind. So phoneme is the smallest unit of speech, and it is generally divided into vowels and consonants, right? Whatever we are talking, you will have the vowels and the consonants in that, right? A, E, I, O, U in English is vowel, and other words such as the ta sound, the ba sound, the r, and the r is your vowel, or other sound, the fa sound, the sha sound, all these are consonants, right? So vowels are produced by overall change in the dimension of the oral cavity, right? So you have a, e means you're expanding your voice, expanding you have to stretch your lips to say e, and then oo, you have to bring your lips together, right? So all these sounds, they are like they are vowel sounds. So a, e, I, o, u are the words. So you have the a, e, a, and then o and u, right? All these are the vowel sounds. Consonants result due to interruption or modification of the airstream by the articulatory organs, right? So consonants can further be divided into two types, the plosives and the fricatives. So in plosives, the airflow of the vocal cord is stopped such that stop. Maybe if you are trying to produce a ta sound or a t sound, right? Your vocal cords are really tightly closed, and the air has to be pushed out in order to pronunciate that. Fricatives are the vowels, are the consonants where the air is forced out of a narrow path made by closing of the two organs. Suppose you want to say sha, right, or fa. You if you say fa sound, then your lips have to close first, and then the air has to explode out of your voice. You try articulating these sounds, and you'll understand what I'm trying to say. Now, speech pathologies can be broadly classified as aphasia, dysarthria, and dysphonia, right? So we shall discuss aphasia in our because that's what is there in your syllabus. However, dysarthria and dysphonia is also quite interesting. So if you want to know more about dysarthria and dysphonia, just let me know in the comment section, and I shall post videos on them as well. So while speaking, the breathing has to be adjusted in such a way that the inhale is short and there's a long exhale. You can't speak and inhale at the same time. You can when you're speaking, your air in your whatever air you have inhaled is slowly exhaled. So that's why you're able to modulate. And then singers, for example, that's a perfect example. When you're singing or when you hear someone sing, they often, if they have to sing a big verse simultaneously, without any break, then they take a huge breath in and then slowly try to exhale while they're singing, right? And and they can't even pause for too long because that would break the rhythm of the song. So they have to they have to inhale quickly and inhale considerable amount of air so that they are sustaining till the end of the verse. So you have 5 major articulation organs. First, the lips, which are the labial consonants. When these are basically the consonants, like you have the vowel is just about the oral cavity, right? So consonants, basically you have 5 different articulation areas. The lips, first of all, which are called the labial consonants. You say the ba and the pa sound, you see that your lips are coming together, right? Such as when you try to pronunciate bite and pan, your lips come together, your lips stick together, and then the air explodes. So that is the labial consonant. Then you have the foldable frontal part of the tongue, or the frontal consonants, such as the ta and the da sound. So when you say ta or da, you can feel the tip of your tongue touching your upper palate, right? And then the middle and the back part of the tongue, which is the dorsal consonant, which if you try to say ga sound, such as in got or good, you can see that the middle of your tongue is touching your upper palate, right? The fourth one is root of the tongue and the epiglottis, right? So you have radical consonants such as the ra sound. So try pronunciating rot. You can see there's a little bit of vibration in your happening in your mouth. So if you say rot or ring, right? It is, although you can't just if you hold your tip of the tongue together, you cannot pronounce it. At the same time, if your root of the tongue and epiglottis is not involved, you cannot articulate these consonants. Last is the larynx of the voice box, laryngeal consonant, which is the ha sound. So like if you say the high, if you try to say high or hot, right, you can feel quite a lot of air coming out of your larynx. You can see your larynx is involved. So do this experiment. Try putting your hand on your throat and pronunciate ha. You can feel that your larynx is moving, right? So these are laryngeal consonants for you. Language is a system. Basically, it is speech is talking. Language is the rule that controls the talking. Because in order to have communicate legibly, intelligibly, you need certain guidelines or certain rules to which you need to adhere to. Like if you're speaking Tamil or if you're speaking English or Hindi or any language, right? There are certain rules, certain regulations, certain grammatical principles that you need to follow while you are articulating a sentence in order for the sentence to be meaningful. Because you need a certain universal guidance which everyone has to follow. Only then language would work, otherwise language wouldn't work. If I have my own set of rules and you have your own set of rules, then communication becomes really cumbersome. The whole system is jeopardized, right? So if there's a universal rule which all of us have to follow, if you want to communicate in that particular if you want to use that particular mode of communication, then that would make life very very simple. Because whatever I'm trying, if I adhere to the rule and if you adhere to the rule, then we are both on the same page, right? So language is that rule that helps in communication. So you have phonology, which is the study of sound systems of a language. So when I say language, I'm not talking about just English. It is any language, all this applies for it, right? Then you have the semantics, which is the study of meaning of a word in a particular language along with the relationship between language thought and behavior. Then you have lexicography, which is vocabulary or list of all words in a particular language. And then you have the syntax, which is a system of the grammar. And then the etymology. Some language they're the parent language, and some language they are like derived from other languages. For example, if you take Hindi, then quite a lot of words in Hindi are derived from Sanskrit. So which one is parent? It's like which one came first, the chicken or the egg, right? So which one is parent? It's considered the language that is more ancient, according based on the history available, is considered the parent language. So if Sanskrit, which is older than Hindi, and if there are words in Hindi that are used from Sanskrit or even Tamil for that matter, many words we use Sanskrit words in Tamil as well. So which out of these languages was ancient is something that history decides, and then you take that as the parent language. Another language they are derived. I'm not saying that derived language do not have their own originality. They do have, but they adopt quite a lot of quite a lot of words, quite a lot of vocabulary from a parent language, and that is your etymology. English if you say English derives quite a lot of its words from Greek and Latin, so they are the parent language for English as well. So a language can be defined as a rule that combines words in a particular sequence to express thoughts. The grammatical or syntactical rules define the accepted format of the sentence. I think I've spoken enough about the introduction, speech, and language. I should see you again in another video where we shall discuss aphasia. I hope you take care till then.